Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today we'll make custom rubber stamps for the Trotec Professional 5212 Mega Stamp. The top selling self-inking stamp that we make here at CNCKing.com is the Trodat 5212, and the reason for that is because it has such a large surface area. Let me show you. So what we'll do today is we're going to make all of these custom rubber stamps. There's 4 of them, and we'll use a black ink pad, and I'll show you the results of the engraving on the black. And then after that, what I'll do is I'll switch them all around to different colors, and then what we'll see, we'll compare the black to all the other color options that we have for the Trodat 5212. The first one we'll start off with is called Flying. As you can see here, Trotec Speedy 400 Flex does a great job of engraving the Trodat rubber for the Trodat Custom Professional stamps that we make here. Now here's another close-up of that stamp we made. It's being held in place using double-sided tape, and it's a little bit not as dark as it should be just because I took the ink pad out. I'm getting this ready for shipping. So this one here produced this result. So everything is nice and clear, and it's actually a pretty complex stamp because you have something that's actually hand drawn that we took a bit of testing back and forth to get a nice imprint on that, and text, and there's some other branding on there as well. So the next one we'll do is nesting. why this self-inking stamp is so popular for all of our customers is that it has a very large surface area. It's roughly 3 by 4 inches or 116 by 70 millimeters. So here's the stamp that we produced. Again, I took the ink pad out and wore it out a little bit just so I don't have too much black ink. So this is nesting, and the result here is nesting. So again, the imagery is nice and clean and sharp. The text comes out great. The artist did a wonderful job here with the art, and it comes out really nice and sharp. So the next one we will do is dancing. When it comes to laser engraving rubber, basically any kind of imagery works. What I prefer is having something that's black and white. In this case here, the artist actually had, it was multicolored, and so it went to grayscale, and then grayscale is not a really nice format to make really nice sharp stamps. So then what I had to do is convert it to black and white and a few other tricks of the trade to get a nice sharp rubber stamp. So here are the results for dancing. As you can see, everything's nice and sharp. And this is the result on the paper. So black is by far the most popular color that we use for self-inking stamps, regardless of the model that we have. We're official distributor of Trodat, so we have the entire range of Trodat custom rubber stamps, whether you want the self-inking or otherwise. So what I'm doing here is opening up, so this is generally how you get it, or how we get it as well. And this one's already made. So just open up the box. And when I ship this out, I always put the self-inking stamp separately. And that's just to make sure that nothing leaks out or stuff like that happens during shipping. So the next stamp we will do is, there we go, feeding. with the other Trodat Professional 5212s, this one came out totally fine as well. You can see it here. So everything is nice and sharp. Now there is some bleed all around the stamp. That's just the ink that gets around. What you have to keep in mind is when you're making rubber stamps, only the very top surface of the rubber that is not engraved is what is actually put onto the paper. And here are the results. So again, everything is really nice and sharp. Now what I'll do is I'll show you quickly how you go about changing the cartridges. Now this here is a black cartridge, so it has black ink. And all you do is peel this off and you have your black. Now if it's blue or green or whatever color that you want, it's exactly the same process. Sometimes the case actually has like a green color to it, and other times it doesn't. Let's take a quick look here. Just make sure I don't mix up all my things here. So here is what I got from Trodat. There we go. So this one obviously is blue. And you just take the cover off. And yes, it is blue. And this one here is violet. Or purple, whatever you want to call it. And it is purple. Let's take a look at the green one. Here's the green one. As you can see, I've already starting to get some ink on me. Whenever I do custom rubber stamps, I always got ink all over my hands. And this is green. So one common question I get from customers is, let's say you get this one here and it's black ink, and sometimes you want to switch to, let's say, blue or green or whatever color that you want. How do you go about wiping the back off? There are a few ways of doing it. The easiest way I find is just to put paper underneath and just stamp it until you basically have nothing else coming out of the stamp. And then what you do is you take the cartridge out, which I'll show you a close-up of very shortly, and you put the other cartridge in and you go about stamping away. There will be a little bit of the other color there. It's just, that's the way stamps work. Unless you want to do a very thorough cleaning of it, it's not something to worry about. You're making custom rubber stamps here, not a space shuttle. right, now you should be a total pro regarding changing ink pads for basically the whole Trodat range. It's all the same, just different size. Just press down a little bit just so it's away from the surface. You go through the back here, of course. Slide the other, take the other one out, put the other one in, and you're pretty much done. Here again are what the ink pads look like. Now what we'll do is we'll take a look at the results. So here is nesting, and that is my favorite one. It's green. Now the results look a little bit uneven back and forth. The reason for that is basically ink pads and fresh stamps are sort of like shoes. When you first get a pair of shoes, it doesn't really conform very well to your feet. You just have to walk with it a little bit, and then right away things get a lot more comfortable in your shoes. Custom rubber stamps are the same way. It just takes a little bit of time for everything to settle and the ink to go at the right spot. Now this one looks especially rough, but I'm focusing on the color, not the roughness. And the reason for this is because Trodat made an amazing laser, but you don't want to use a laser as a surface for stamping stuff. It's not a really nice surface. It's rough, as you can hear. So when you want to do rubber stamping, you want to have a nice, relatively hard but still a little bit soft surface, and that's how you'll get the best results. And there you go. So as you saw, black ink definitely stands out the most out of all the inks, but the colors actually are nice dark colors too, so it comes out pretty cool. Other options that we have customers ask us about is UV ink, and of course we can do that too. The only problem with UV ink is you don't see it unless there's a UV light around. That's when you get like the really bright white shirts. Let's say you go to museums and that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for a custom rubber stamp, contact me at CNCKing.com. Now one thing I want you to keep in mind is around the end of the video where I was changing all the ink pads here, I was actually stamping it down many times, and that was just to remove the ink. Now the reason why I removed the ink is because I'm shipping this to the customer and I don't want their hands to look like mine full of ink. So it's just a very, a straightforward thing. Get the ink off the rubber and then go ahead and do it. Another thing I want you to notice is there actually isn't any bleed on here. So the blue doesn't have like pieces of black all over it. And again, that's just stamping it down. It's nothing too technical and it works really well. So again, custom rubber stamp, contact me at CNCKing.com.